So this is grade 10 mathematics based on the new curriculum, chapter 2, which is polynomial functions. So you need to, which is polynomial functions. Polynomial functions, right? So as you remember, in chapter 1, we have discussed about linear function and quadratic function, all right? Linear functions are functions that could be written in the form ax plus b, where a is different from 0, of course, and the highest degree of x is 1. Quadratic functions are functions that could be written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, with the highest exponent of x is 2, and a is different from 0. Now, let's define what do we mean by polynomial function is. So let's define what do we mean by polynomial function means, right? So the definition is here. The function, right? The function, that is a relation. That means it's a set in which the elements are of order pairs. So the function that can be written in the form that can be written in the form. The functions that can be written in the form, look, what form? This form. F of x is equal to, or P of x is equal to, you can say P of x is equal to. Most authors are using P of x. Anyway, this an x the power of n, barbo ahon an x the power of n. N x, that means x cannot be the denominator and cannot be the exponent of this n man. Anyway, an x the power of n plus n minus 1 x the power of n minus 1 ይቀጥላል here, right? Then finally a naught. Okay, the function that can be written in the form, look, n x the power of n plus n minus 1 x the power of n minus 1. በዚህ አሁን በn እና በx the power of n መካከል ያለው ዝምድና በፕሮዳክት ነው ወይም በመልቲፕሊኬሽን ነው የተገናኙት እዚህ ጋር ልብ አድርጉ። That means ይሄ በተለይ x the power of n, it cannot be the denominator of this one and it cannot be the exponent of this one. Anyway, n x the power of n plus n minus 1 x the power of በዚህ ፎርም የተጻፈ function ልብ አድርጉ። where what? Where there are criteria that should be satisfied. Where what? This an minus 1 an minus 2 ይቀጥላል እስከ ምን ድረስ ያሉት እና a ነው እና እስከ a ነው ድረስ ያሉት, this should come from the set of real number. They should come from the set of real number. እነዚህ ከx the power of n minus 1 በስተግራ በኩል ያሉት እነዚህ n minus 1 n minus 2 እስከ a ነው ድረስ a0 ድረስ ይቀጥላል. These are numbers which are from the set of real numbers. Real number መሆን አለባቸው አንደኛው ክራይቴሪያ። ሁለተኛው ክራይቴሪያ ይሄ an should never be equal to 0. an ግን 0 መሆን የለበትም. Good. And ሶስተኛው ክራይቴሪያ this n minus 1 እስከ n minus n ድረስ, that means x the power of 0 ድረስ ይቀጥላል. So this n is coming from non-negative integer, of course. N is non-negative integer. N is what? Non-negative integer. Non-negative barbo. And function በዚህ ፎርም ተጽፎ f of x is equal to n x the power of n plus n minus 1 x the power ተጽፎ እነዚህ ሶስቱ ክራይቴሪያዎች ካሟላ አንደኛ this n minus 1 n minus 2 should come from the set of real number. ሁለተኛ this this one, that means the number which is to the left of x the power of n should never be equal to 0, and the exponent is this n minus 1 are non-negative integers. እነዚህ ሶስቱ ከፎርሙላው ጋር አራቱ ክራይቴሪያ እዚህ ፎርም ተጽፎ እነዚህ ሶስቱ ክራይቴሪያ ካሟላ, so this function is called it's called polynomial function. Polynomial function. So what's a polynomial function? ማወቅ መቻል አለብን. All right, what's a polynomial function? polynomial functions እነማን ናቸው? All right, so polynomial function is a function that can be written in the form f of x is equal to an x the power of n plus n minus 1 x the power of n minus 1 plus ይቀጥላል where this n minus 1 up to n naught are coming from the set of real number. Second, the exponent is n n minus 1 up to 0 coming from the negative integer, right? And thirdly, this n should never be equal to 0. That means different from 0. እነዚህ ክራይቴሪያዎች ካሟላ አንድ ፈንክሽን ምን ተብሎ ይጠራል? ፖሊኖሚያል ፈንክሽን ተብሎ ይጠራል ማለት ነው። right? So linear and quadratic functions are particular example of polynomial functions ናቸው ማለት ነው። right? Let's add examples, right? See examples of polynomial. Which one of አንድ ጥያቄ ይመጣል. Which one of the following is an example of polynomial function? ወይም which one of the following is not a polynomial? ያለ አንድ ጥያቄ ይጠይቃቸዋል። መለየት መቻል አለባቸው። Say for example, f of x is equal to, say for example, 2x plus 1. It's a linear function, right? It's a linear function and it's an example of polynomial. Look, the x ኃይለ ቁጥር አንድ ነው። ከፊት ለፊቱ ያሉት ሁለትና አንድ ናቸው። They are coming from real number, right? So it's a linear and it is what? Polynomial. So all linear and all quadratic functions are polynomial functions. ደግሞአለሁ። All linear and all quadratic functions are an example of polynomial functions. So f of x is linear, of course. F of x is equal to, for example, x squared plus 4x plus 5. It's quadratic function. At the same time, it's polynomial function because በዚህ ፎርም ተጽፈዋል። አንደኛ መጻፍ ብቻ ማለት ነው። የኤክስ ኃይለ ቁጥሮች በሙሉ ኔጌቲቭ ኢንቲጀር ናቸው። ፕላስ ከኤክስ ከቫሪብሎቹ በስተግራ በኩል ያሉት ቁጥሮች በሙሉ ሴት ኦፍ ሪያል ነምበር ናቸው. The exponent of x the power of n is different from 0, which is 1, right? F of x is equal to, say, for example, radical to x the power of 4 minus, say, 10x. How? ዲግሪዎቹ ኃይለ ቁጥሮቹ እነማን ናቸው? 4 1 ቁጥሮቹ እነማን ናቸው? ራዲካል 2 እና ኔጌቲቭ 10. So it's polynomial function, right? F of x is equal to, say, for example, 1 over 5 x the power of 10 plus 6x squared minus 12, right? How about አሁን 1 over 5 ከx the power of 10 በስተግራ በኩል የመጣው ቁጥር ነው። the number ደግሞ could be the member of what? all real number ናቸው ተብሏል። so this አሁን እዚህ ጋር ተመልከቱ። እዚህ ጋር የx ኃይለ ቁጥር 1 ነው። እዚህ ጋር x ኃይለ ቁጥር 2 ነው። ትልቁ ኃይለ ቁጥር እዚህ ጋር 4 ነው። እዚህ ጋር 10 ነው። alright? ከነዚህ ፊት ለፊት ያለው ከነዚህ አጠገብ ያለው ደግሞ ቁጥር different from 0 and በዚህ ፎርም ተቀምጧል። so these are what? They are examples of what? Polynomials ናቸው። They are examples of polynomials ናቸው። እስቲ an example of polynomial አሁን ከመጽሐፋችሁ ላይ ኤክሰርሳይዝ አለ. which one of the following is an example of polynomial and which one of the following is non example of polynomial? አሁን የፖሊኖሚያል ዴፊኒሽን በደንብ የተረዳ ሰው non examples of polynomials አይደንቲፋይ ያደርጋል ማለት ነው። ይሄ ነው አሁን ፖሊኖሚያል ዴፊኒሽን ገብቶኛል አልገባኝ የሚለውን የምትለዩት በምንድን ነው? የሆነ ሁለት ፈንክሽኖች ወይም ሶስት ፈንክሽኖች ተሰጥቷችሁ የትኛው ፖሊኖሚያል ነው የትኛው ደግሞ ፖሊኖሚያል አይደለም የሚለውን ስትለዩ ነው። right? so non examples look ለምሳሌ አሁን ተመልከቱ. f of x is equal to, look, say x the power of negative 10 plus 10x squared minus 1. አሁን ምንድን ነው የተባለው? የቫሪብሎቹ ኤክስፖነንቶች በሙሉ ኔጌቲቭ ኢንቲጀር ዛት ሚን 0 1 2 መሆን አለባቸው። ልብ አድርጉ። አሁን ኔጌቲቭ ኢንቲጀር 0 1 2 3 ሶ አሁን እዚህ ጋር ተመልከቱ። ኤክስ አይሮት ስንት ነው? ኔጌቲቭ 10 ነው። ሶ which is not the member of positive integers, right? so አሁን ይሄ ነገር የዚህኛው ኃይለ ቁጥር ኔጌቲቭ 10 ስለሆነ of course የዚህኛው 2 ነው የዚህኛው 0 ነው ፕሮብሌም። አሁን የዚህኛው ኔጌቲቭ 10 ስለሆነ so which is not what? polynomial አይደለም ማለት። ለምሳሌ አሁን ይሄ x power እሺ say for example to the power of x plus 3x squared plus 5 አሁን ባሩ ሁሌም ይሄ ቫሪያብል ቤዝ ሆኖ ነው መምጣት ያለበት። ቫሪያብል x አሁን በx ሉክ በቃ ይሄ ፎርም መያዝ መቻል አለባችሁ። ይሄ ሁሌም ቤዝ መሆን መቻል አለበት። የኔጌቲቭ ኢንቲጀሮቹ ኤክስፖነንቶች ለነዚህ ኤክስፖነንት ይሄ ሁሌም ቤዝ መሆን አለበት። ይሄ x ልባርጉ ዲኖሚኔተር መሆን አይችልም፣ ኒውመሬተር መሆን አይችልም፣ ኤክስፖነንት መሆን አይችልም። ሁሌም ቤዝ for the exponent for the power n. so አሁን እዚህ ጋር ተመልከቱ። ይሄ ሁለት አሁን ሁለት to the power of x ስኩዌርድ መሆን ሲገባው ሁለት ቤዝ ሆኖ x ምን አደረገው? ቫሪያብል ነው ኤክስፖነንት አደረገው ወይም ፓወር አደረገው። so which cannot be in the form በዚህ ፎርም አልተጻፈም ማለት an egg power ነው ያቺ በዚህ ፎርም ተጻፈ። ለምሳሌ አሁን say for example 4 over x the power of say 2 plus 3x squared plus 5 ተመልከቱ አሁን እዚህ ጋር ሶ አሁን እዚህ ጋር ግን ምንድነው 4 over x squared ይሄ ማለት በሌላ አነጋገር በነገራችን ላይ 4 x the power of negative ሆነ ማለት ነው right ሶ አሁንም የx ኃይለ ቁጥር ምን ሆነ ማለት ነው ኔጌቲቭ ሆነ ማለት አሁን 4x squared ማለት ምን ሆነ ማለት ነው 4x the power of negative 2 እንደማለት ሌሎቹ ቢያሟሉ አንድ የማያሟላ እንኳን ከተገኘ impossible to be a polynomial right አሁን ይሄ ወደ ታች ወረደ ማለት ላይ ሲወጣ ምን ይሆናል which is not a polynomial አሁን ለምሳሌ እዚህ ጋር sin of x plus 4x squared plus 5 አሁን sin x ገባ እዚህ ጋር ፎርሙላ ውስጥ በፍጹም መግባት የለም የፖሊኖሚያል ፎርሙላ ወይ x the power of n plus n minus 1 x the power of n minus 1 በዚህ ፎርም so there should not be any sin any trigonometric function there should not be any exponential function there should not be any logarithmic function በቃ የትኛውም function እዚህ ውስጥ መግባት የለበትም right say for example radical of x the power of 4 plus 6 right አሁን ይሄ አይሆንም impossible ምክንያቱም ራዲካል ውስጥ ነው እንደዚህ ሊሆን ለምሳሌ አሁን ይሄንን ሆኖ ራሱ x the power of 4 minus 6 ሆኖ the whole square እንኳን ቢሆን አይሆንም ምክንያቱም እዚህ ጋር ምን አለ subtraction አለ right subtraction ስላለ ከራዲካል ዝም ብሎ መውጣት አይችልም እነዚህ ቆም ይቀጥላል ሌሎች ማለት so these are they are what they are not polynomials they are not polynomials but there are some special cases ጥንቃቄ የሚፈልጉ ምንም እንኳን በዚህ ፎርም ባይጻፉ ዳይሬክት በዚህ ፎርም ተጽፈው ባይሰጣችሁ በሲምፕሊፊኬሽን ወደ ፖሊኖሚያልነት የሚቀየሩ አሉ ለምሳሌ ስፔሻል ኬዝ ለምሳሌ አሁን f of x is equal to for example radical of say x squared plus 1 ሆኖ the whole squared ካደረገው አሁን እንዲህ ካደረገ remember that radical of x squared ምን ሆኖ ነው የሚወጣው absolute value of x ሆኖ ነው የሚወጣው አይደል ዘጠነኛ ክፍል radical of x squared absolute value of x ሆኖ ነው የሚወጣው አሁን ይሄ ስኩዌር ስለሆነ which can be ይሄ ሁለቱ በዚህ ስለሚጣፋ absolute value of x squared plus 1 ይወጣል ግን ልብ አድርጉ x squared plus 1 ግን ሁሌ ፖዚቲቭ ስለሆነ ይሄ ነገር ሁሌ ፖዚቲቭ ስለሆነ ስለዚህ ሁሌ ፖዚቲቭ ለሆነ ነገር ደግሞ ምን ያስፈልገው absolute value ያስፈልገው so it could be written as like this x squared plus 1 አድርገን እንደዚህ so አሁን ይሄ ኤክስፕሬሽን ማለት ይሄ ነው so that can be polynomial right እንደዚህ አይነት ለምሳሌ አሁን say for example x squared plus 4 over x squared plus 4 አሁን ልባል በፍራክሽን ፎርም የተቀመጠው ግን x squared plus 4 ሁሌ ፖዚቲቭ even 0 እንኳን መሆን አይችልም በነገራችን አሁን ይሄ ቁጥር 0 ነው ይሄ ቁጥር 0 ሁሌ ፖዚቲቭ ስለሆነ ይጣፋና ምን ይሆናል ነው 1 ይሆናል you know that any constant is a polynomial አይደል constant polynomial ሌሎች ስለዚህ እነዚህ በስፔሻል ኬዝ የተጻፉ እንደዚህ አይነቶቹ they are what polynomials ማለት why because after some simplification they can be converted into a polynomial form the so called n to the power of n plus n minus 1 x the power of n minus ስለዚህ እንደዚህ ጥንቃቄ ይፈልጋሉ right መጽሐፋችሁ ላሉ which of the following is a polynomial which of the following is not a polynomial የሚሉ አሉ ስራቸው አሁንም እንሰራቸዋለን good so in the expression of polynomial function there are terminologies right so in the polynomial look in the polynomial function with this f of x is equal to n x the power of n plus n minus 1 x the power of n minus 1 plus ይቀጥላል ይሄ ነገር right እስከ n ኦት ወይ ነው ድረስ okay now look the first expression is that right this number the numbers n minus 1 n naught ከቫሪያብሉ በስተግራ በኩል ያሉት ቁጥሮች በመልቲፕሊኬሽን የተገናኙት of course the numbers which numbers look this an minus 1 an minus 2 ይቀጥላሉ right እስከ n ድረስ are called ምን ተብለው ይጠራሉ they are called coefficients ተብለው ይጠራሉ they are called coefficients of the given terms each of the terms አሁን ተርሞች አሉ ይሄ ራሱ ቻለ አንድ ተርም ነው ይሄ ራሱ ቻለ አንድ ተርም ነው ይሄ ደግሞ ራሱ ቻለ አንድ there are any number of terms in a given polynomial right so እነዚህ ከተርሞቹ ጋር ተያይዘው የመጡ ቁጥሮች n minus 1 n minus 2 up to n they are called what coefficients of the polynomial ይሄኛው ኮኤፊሺየንት ከማን ጋር ይመጣው ከx power of n ትልቁን ኃይለ ቁጥር ከያዘው x ጋር የሚመጣው ኮኤፊሺየንት look this coefficient the coefficient this the coefficient an ይሄኛው ማለት this is called what ምን ተብሎ ይጠራል ይሄ leading coefficient ተብሎ ይጠራል leading coefficient ተብሎ this is called the leading coefficient then the third terminology that you should know here is that this exponent ከleading coefficient ጋር የመጣው ኃይለ ቁጥር ትልቁ ኃይለ ቁጥር ማለት the highest exponent which is n the highest exponent n is called ምን ተብሎ ይጠራል the degree of the polynomial the degree of what the polynomial the degree of the highest exponent n which is of course appearing with the leading term the leading coefficient is called the degree of the polynomial ብለን እንጠራዋለን the fourth one this one right this constant which is free from any variable ማለት a naught is called what that means it's a constant free from any variable ማለት a constant which is free from any variable that is a constant which is free from a naught is called the constant term it's called what a constant term of course which is free from what free from any variable which is free from any variable which is free from any variable ከየትኛውም variable ነፃ ነው so it's a constant what you call it is a constant term look አምስተኛው you have to know the አሁን ይሄ f of x is equal to ተብሎ ሲጻፍ function ነው ልብ አድርጉ ይሄኛው ፓርት ግን ስንተው ይሄኛው ፓርት ብቻ the expression in the right side ይሄኛው ብቻውን ስንወስድ ይሄ ምን ተብሎ ይጠራል polynomial expression ብለን እንጠራዋለን f of x is equal to ተብሎ ሲጻፍ function no that's a function all right input አለው output አለው then which is a function በስተቀኝ በኩል ያለው expression ግን ይሄኛው ስንተው ማለት except this one all right this part is called polynomial expression the expression look the expression which expression an to the power of n plus n minus 1 to the power of n minus 1 plus ይቀጥላል ይሄ ነገር እስከ n ድረስ is called ምን ብለን እንጠራዋለን polynomial expression ብለን polynomial expression ብለን this is called polynomial expression ብለን እንጠራዋለን ማለት ኦኬ አሁን እነዚህ መያዝ አለባችሁ ልብ አድርጉ አሁን አንድ ፖሊኖሚያል ጥያቄ ይጠይቅና ሲፈልገው አሁን simplest the simplest mathematics question ከሚባሉት ውስጥ አንዱ ይሄ ነው ምን which one of the following is an example of polynomial or not and ሁለተኛው ጥያቄ ደግሞ polynomial ይሰጣችሁና which one of the following is correct or incorrect about this polynomial ዲግሪው ይሄ ነው leading coefficient ይሄ ነው or constant term ይሄ ነው እያለ ይጠይቃችኋል right so be take care of this so let's do these examples remember that these examples are the exercises from your text right እነዚህ አሁን የመጽሐፋችሁ ኤክሰርሳይዝ ጥያቄዎች ናቸው ልብ አድርጉ right exercise ናቸው መጀመሪያ እዛ ላይ ሞክሯቸውና then ከዚህ ጋር ክሮስ ቼክ አድርጉ good f of x equals to x to the power of 5 plus 2x cubed plus x አሁን መጀመሪያ ምንድነው ቼክ የምታደርጉት what's okay find the degree the leading coefficient the constant term of the polynomial መጀመሪያ ፖሊኖሚያሉ an to the power of n ፎርም ተቀምጧል ይሄ ነው ቼክ የምታደርጉት ከዛ set from the set of real number the coefficients and the exponents must be non-negative integer አሁን ተመልከቱ ይሄ በዚህ ፎርም ተቀምጧል n to the power of n plus n minus 1 to the power of minus 1 ፎርም so አሁን ትልቁ what is the degree ማለት the highest exponent 5 3 and እዚህ ጋር አሁን በውስጥ ታዋቂነት ምን አለ to the power of 0 ያ 1 ነው with any constant ልባድዋው with any constant ከማንኛውም constant k ጋር f of x is equal to some constant say c ካለ times 1 አለ times 1 ማለት ደግሞ c times a to the power of 0 so the degree of any constant function is 0 እንዳትረሱ the degree of any constant 0 ነው the degree of 0 doesn't exist of course now so አሁን እዚህ ጋር what's the degree ዲግሪያችን ማለት ነው 5 and the leading coefficient is what the coefficient which is attached to this a to the power of 5 which is what 3 What about the constant term? The constant term is the term which is from variable which is negative 5 ነው ማለት ነው። Okay? The second one, look 4 minus x plus 1 over 8 x to the power of 4 minus 8x squared. ልብ አድርጉ. In the writing of a polynomial function, f of x equal to 8x to the power of plus እያለ ስለሚቀጥል you know that addition is commutative, alright? ስለዚህ እንደፈለገው ማስቀመጥ ይችላል. That means ባለ ትልቁ ኃይለ ቁጥር መሃል ሊገባ ይችላል፣ መጨረሻ ላይ ሊመጣ ይችላል፣ መጀመሪያ ሊመጣ ይችላል. No problem because the polynomial expression n x to the power of n plus እያለ የሚቀጥለው, alright? n minus 1 x to the power of n minus 1. So you know that addition is what? Commutative. Since it's commutative, የቦታ ለውጥ no problem at all. So አሁን ትልቁ ኃይለ ቁጥራችን ማን ነው ማለት ነው? 4 ነው። So the degree is what? 4. ከዲግሪው ጋር የመጣ x coefficient ማን ነው? So the leading coefficient is what? Which is 1 over 8 ነው. What about the constant term? So the constant term is what? Which is 4 ነው ማለት ነው. In the third case, look, አሁን ራዲካል ውስጥ ነው ብለናል። እዚህ ጋር ሆል ስኩዌር አለ፣ እዚህ ጋር አዲሽን ነው። አሁን ራዲካሉ ስኩዌሩ በራዲካል ይጣፋና so f of x ምን ሆነ ይወጣል? Absolute value of x square plus 5 ሆነ። Remember that. x square plus 5 is always positive ነው። እዚህ ጋር የፈለጋችሁ ሚኒመም እንኳን ሚኒመም ነምበሩ እዚህ ጋር 0 ስታስገቡ ነው። because x square is always positive. Positive plus positive is positive. So absolute value ያስፈልግም ይሄ ምን ሆነ ይወጣል? x square plus 5 ሆነ ይወጣል። ስለዚህ ኳድራቲክ ፈንክሽን ሆነ። So what is the degree now? አሁን ዲግሪያችን ማን ነው? ትልቁ ኃይለ ቁጥር which is 2. The leading coefficient is what? ከx square ጋር ያለው እዚህ ጋር ማን ነው? 1 ነው. And the constant term is what? Which is 5 ነው ማለት ነው። Okay? The next problem, look, f of x is equal to x to the power of 5 minus 5x squared plus 2 minus አድርጎ እዚህ ጋር some simplifications ያስፈልጋል። ስለዚህ ሁሌም ዲግሪ leading coefficient እና constant term ከፈለጋችሁ በፊት ሲምፕሊፋይ የሚደረግ ነገር ካለ ሲምፕሊፋይ ማድረግ መቻል አለባችሁ። ኦልራይት ሶ ዚስ ዊል ቢ 2x to the power of 5 minus 5x squared plus 2 አሁን ይሄ 3 ለሁሉም ነው ልባል ለነዚህ ለሁሉም ስለሚሄድ 2 over 3 minus 2 over 3 of course ከዚህ ጋር ደግሞ ይሄ ኔጌቲቭ አለ ሰራጫ ኔጌቲቭ ታይምስ ኔጌቲቭ is positive so positive 1 over 3x squared negative times positive is negative 4x squared 4x cubed over 3 of course negative times positive is negative x to the power of 5 over what 3 ይሆናል። አሁን ምን እናደርጋለን? collecting like terms አሁን 2x to the power of 5 ከዚህኛው ጋር እንደምረዋለን of course ቀንሱ ነው የሚለው so that will be look 2x to the power of 5 collecting like terms minus x to the power of 5 of course 1 over 3 አንድ ላይ ታደርጋላችሁ then square here it is of course cube አለ እዚህ ጋር no problem so cube እናመጣዋለን just to minus 4 over 3x cubed of course then square negative 5 squared 5x squared and positive 1 over 3x squared so minus 5x squared plus 1 over 3x squared right and finally 2 minus 1 over 3 which is so 2 minus 1 over 3 over 1 and እዚህ ጋር LCM is 3 times 2 6 6 minus 2 is 4 which is 4 over 3 of course so plus 4 over 3 ይሄኛው ማለት ቁጥሮቹ ደግሞ አንድ ላይ ሁለት ሲቀነስ 2/3 ይሆናል። እንደዚህ ሲምፕሊፋይ አድርጋችሁ በጥንቃቄ ነው ማስቀመጥ መቻል አለባችሁ ፈተና ላይ ስለሚመጣ አንዳንድ ጥያቄ so that will be አሁን እዚህ ጋር over 1 አለ what is the LCM 3 ነው right 3 divided by 1 is 3 times 2 is 6 6 x to the power of 5 minus 3 divided by 6 is 1 times is x to the power of 5 of course that part here it is the only term for x cubed of course አሁን እዚህ ጋር negative 5x squared plus 1 over 3 so እዚህ ጋር over 1 ታደርጋላችሁ 3 ነው LCM ማችን of course it will be okay minus እናርገው ይሄ minus ስለሆነ so 3 the LCM is 3 times 5 is what 15 of course 15x squared 3 divided by 3 is 1 that is minus x squared of course over ምን አለ 3 አለ then plus 4 over 3 ይሆንላችኋል። So that will be 6 minus እዚህ ጋር 1 አለ 6 x the power of 5 minus 1 x the power of 5 is 5 x the power of 5 over 3 of course minus 4 over 3 x cubed. ይሄ 3 ያው ለሁለቱም ስለሆነ negative 15x squared minus x squared is negative 16 over 3 of course x squared plus 4 over 3. አሁን ልክ በዚህ ፎርም ከጻፍነው በኋላ ዲግሪ leading coefficient constant term we can identify. So polynomial form ተቀምጧል no problem. All of the exponents of x are non-negative integers. Good. So what is the degree? Our degree is what? The degree is what? 5. Okay. The coefficient which is attached to this degree, that is the leading coefficient, is what? 5 over 3. Okay. And the constant term is what? 4 over 3. Check it. ቀስ እያላችሁ መጽሐፋችሁ ጥያቄ ስለሆነ አርትሜቲኩን ቀስ እያላችሁ ስሩት። Good. The next problem, look. F of x equal to 1 over x squared plus 1 over x plus 1. አሁን መጀመሪያ leading coefficient degree constant term ከመፈለጋችን በፊት ነገርየው ፖሊኖሚያል ወይ ነው። Look. አሁን 1 over x squared ይሄ ማለት እኮ x the power of negative 2 እንደማለት ነው። ይሄ ደግሞ x the power of negative 1. So the exponents of x are what? They are negative integers, which is impossible in the definition of polynomials. So it is not polynomial. What about this one? X cubed minus 10x squared minus 0x the power of 7. Look, God, wow. How እንደዚህ አይነት ነገር ጥንቃቄ ማድረግ መቻል አለባችሁ። Look, አሁን if x equal to x cubed ትልቁ ኃይለ ቁጥር ማን ነው? 7 ነው የሚመስለው እዚህ። ግን ከ7 ጋር የመጣው ኮኤፊሺየንት ማን ነው? 0 ነው። You know that 0 times everything is what? 0. ይሄ 0 ነው። ስለዚህ ይሻውላችኋል ጥንቃቄ አለ። 0 ስለሆነ 0 multiply by everything is 0. So 0 እንደማለት ነው። So አሁን ትልቁ ኃይለ ቁጥራችን ማን ሆነ? 3. So our degree is what? Our degree is 3 and our leading coefficient is what? ከ3 ጋር የመጣው which is 1 and our constant term is what? Which is 5 ማለት ነው። Any constant ቢሰጣችሁ ለምሳሌ አሁን what is the degree of this ቢላችኋል። Question number G, what is the degree of say for example some constant 5 ቢላችኋል። Any constant ከተሰጠ በውስጥ ታዋቂነት times 1 የሚባል ነገር አለው። times 1 አለው። አንድ ማለት ደግሞ ምን ማለት ነው? x the power of 0. So any constant is k times x the power of 0. So the degree is what? So the degree is what? The degree is what? 0. So the constant term is what? The constant term is what? The constant term ራሱ ቁጥሩ 5. And the leading coefficient is what? Itself ነው, which is 5 ነው ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ any constant ከተሰጣችሁ the degree of any constant is 0. The constant term is itself. The leading coefficient is itself. Right? 0 ደግሞ ከተሰጠ ልባርጓል። So the degree of 0. አሁን f of x is equal to 0 ማለት 0 ከማን ነው? 0 times x the power of ለምሳሌ 100 ልታረግ ይችላል። 0 times x the power of say 1 million ሊሆን ይችላል። Right? ከተለያየ variable of x ጋር መጻፍ ይቻላል. Which is confuse ያደርጋል። ስለዚህ የትኛውን እንወስድ ነው? የትኛው ተን ሁሉም 0 ስለሆነ so the degree of 0 doesn't exist. So the degree here አንደኛው ሪማርክ ነው። ሁለተኛው ፋክት that you should never ልብ አድርጉ። አሁን ፖሊኖሚያል ስንጽፍ an x the power of n form ነው right? So there is no any denominator part. That means a variable denominator አልሆነም። denominator አልሆነም ማለት there will not be any chance just to be undefined የሚሆንበት ቻንስ የለም። So the domain, right? The domain of every polynomial function. The domain of every polynomial function is what? The set of what? Real numbers. ስለዚህ የማንኛውም polynomial function domain is the set of all real number, right? There should not be any restriction. The degree of a zero polynomial doesn't exist. The degree of the third one. The degree of a constant function is what? Constant function is what? 0. The degree of a constant function is 0. The degree of zero polynomial doesn't exist, and the domain of every polynomial function is a set of all real number. በዚህ ፎርም ስለሆነ የተጻፈው an x the power of n ፎርም ስለሆነ ይሄ undefined የሚሆንበት there is no any situation, right? There is no any situation. Now based on the coefficients of the given polynomial, a polynomial might give a particular name, right? So So the definition is here, look. A polynomial function. Polynomial function, look. A polynomial function f of x is said to be what? A polynomial function f of x is said to be what? First one is said to be a polynomial over integers. A polynomial function f of x is said to be a polynomial over integers if all of the coefficients are what? Integers. If all of the coefficients are integers, coefficienቶቹ በሙሉ ኢንቲጀሮች ከሆኑ the polynomial is said to be polynomial over integer. Good. አሁን in the future በጣም ኢምፖርታንት ነው። polynomial ring ይባላል in the future. Of course in modern algebra, right? So important. polynomial ring ላይ polynomial over integer ከሆነ polynomial over rational ከሆነ okay. So the second one, all right? A polynomial is said to be a polynomial, say, over rational. Polynomial over rational. If all of the coefficients are what? Rationals. Rationals. And the polynomial is said to be, look, a polynomial is said to be a polynomial, right? Over real numbers, polynomial over reals. If what? All of the coefficients are what? Real numbers. Polynomial over real number. Of course, some authors are using like this: f of x over integers, the 0 the f2, f of x over rationals, and f of x over real numbers, of course. Okay, so if all the coefficients are integers, the polynomial is said to be over polynomial over integer, a polynomial over rational if the coefficients are rational, and a polynomial over reals if the coefficients are of all real. ለምሳሌ say for example, ለምሳሌ አሁን ሶስት polynomial ይሰጣል። f of x is equal to say 4x cubed minus x squared plus 1 እና f of x is equal to say for example 1 over 2x cubed minus 6x. And f of x is equal to say for example radical 2x squared plus say 1 over 2x plus 5. አሁን ተመልከቱ እዚህ ጋር look f of x what are the coefficients? 4, -1 and 1. You know that 4, -1 and 1 are what? They are integers as well as they are rationals as well as they are reals. Because all integers are rational numbers. All rational numbers are real numbers, right? So አሁን የመጀመሪያው እነዚህ look 4, -1 and 1 are the member of integer. Of course, set of integer is subset of rational number, and rational number is subset of real number. So this polynomial, which implies so this f of x is a polynomial over what? Over integer, over rational, and over real number. So if a polynomial is a polynomial over integer, then it is also a polynomial over rational. It is also a polynomial over what? Real number. Because integers are rationals. Because integers are real numbers. Right? In the second case, look. What are the coefficients? The coefficients are 1 over 2, -6, and what? 4. So you know that 1 over 2 is not integer. Right? So this cannot be a polynomial over integer. ምንድነው መሆን የሚችለው? polynomial over rational. You know that rational numbers are real numbers, so these are the member of rational, which is a subset of course, real numbers. Therefore, this is a polynomial over what? So f of x is a polynomial over rational and what? Over real number. If you go to the third case, look. F of x equal radical to x, what are the coefficients? Radical 2, 1 over 2 and what? 5. Look, of course 1 over 2 and 5 are rationals, but radical 2 is not rational. It is real numbers. So this polynomial is not a polynomial over integer, not a polynomial over rational, but it's a polynomial over real number. So f of x is a polynomial over real number. Now let's discuss about operations of polynomials. Polynomial operations. Operations of polynomial functions. That means addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of polynomials. So polynomial functions, like since they are functions, they can be added, they can be subtracted, they can be divided one by the other, and they can be multiplied, of course. So the first one is addition of polynomials. Addition of what? Polynomials. So how could we find the addition of two polynomials? The addition of two polynomials can be obtained by adding like terms, all right? The coefficients of like terms, of course. This could be obtained by adding what? The coefficients. The coefficients of what? Like terms. You know like terms grade 9, all right? So it could be obtained by adding the coefficients of what? Like terms. Now look, so the definition is like, look, for a polynomial f of x and g of x, look, f plus g of, for two polynomial functions f and g, for two polynomial functions f and g. So f plus g of f of x, this is given by f of x plus what? G of x, where this f and g are what? They are polynomials, of course. They are polynomial functions, of course. They are polynomial what? Functions. So f of x, f plus g of x is given by f of x plus g of x. That could be operated by adding the coefficients of the links. Now, the question here is that what would be the degree of this f plus g, all right? So the degree of this f plus g, look, the degree of this f plus g, that means the sum of the polynomial, the degree of this f plus g has two versions. Look, the degree of this f plus g is 1. The degree of this f plus g will be, if they don't have equal degrees, then you consider the higher one, the higher degree, okay? So take the higher degree, all right? Takes a higher degree. That means if f of x is greater, that means if degree of f is greater than degree of course, g of x, then automatically the degree will be degree of f of x. Consider the degree of f of x. Otherwise, take the degree of g of x. Let's see, f of x plus g of x degree እኩል ካልሆኑ ትልቁን ዲግሪ ነው የምንወስድ። So let's do these examples. These are, as usual, examples from the exercises given there in your textbook. Okay, so now look, this is 2x cubed, the degree of this one is 3, the degree of this one is 4. አሁን ሁለቱ ዲግሪ የተለያየ ስለሆነ የድምሩ ዲግሪ ማን ይሆናል ማለት ነው? The power of 4. So let's now f plus g of x is, that means f of x plus g of x. So that will be like adding like terms together. አሁን 2x cubed እዚህ ጋር 2x cubed የለምሽ ከትልቁ እንጂ ኦኬ 2x cubed እዚህ ጋር 2x cubed ስለሌለ 2x cubed ይቀመጣል ማለት ነው። ኦኬ ኔጌቲቭ 3x አለ እዚህ ጋር there is no any term associated with negative 3x or negative 3x እንዳለ ታስቀምጣለህ። ያው መደመር ነው። ኔጌቲቭ 5 እዚህ ጋር አለ፣ ፖዚቲቭ 3 እዚህ ጋር አለ። 3 ሲቀነስ 5 which is negative 2 of course. Okay, so we have finished here. Now 5 in the power of 4 ለብቻው ነው እዚህ ጋር የለም። ይሄም ደግሞ ለብቻው ነው right? 7x. So this is the sum. አሁን ይሄ ነው ድምሩ ማለት ተመሳሳይ የዚህ ተመሳሳይ ትፈልጉና ደምራችሁ ቁጭ የዚህ ተመሳሳይ ትፈልጉና ደምራችሁ ቁጭ የዚህኛው ማመሳሰል። So what's the degree? The degree of f plus g is what? Which is 4, and the leading coefficient is what? Which is 5. Okay? And the constant term is what? The constant term is what? Negative 2. So መደመር ነው። ላይክ ተርሞቹን እየፈለጋችሁ መደመር ነው። Of course ጥንቃቄ ይፈልጋል። አሁን ይሄ the simplest question ነው in mathematical world ግን ምን ይፈልጋል? ጥንቃቄ። አሁን ይሄን ስትደምሩ በአግባቡ ካልደመራችሁና ትንሽዬ ነገር ከሳታችሁ then you will be wrong ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ ጥንቃቄ በጣም ቀላል ነው፣ ግን ጥንቃቄ ይፈልጋል። በጥንቃቄ ቀላል በነገራችን ላይ ሂሳብ ላይ ቀላል ጥያቄዎች በጥንቃቄ መስራት መቻል አለባችሁ። ከባድ ጥያቄዎች ብዙ ጊዜ ከባድም ስለሆኑ ያው ሳትወዱ በግድ ተጠነቀቃላችሁ። ቀላል ጥያቄ ላይ ግን በጣም ጥንቃቄ አለ። The second one, look. So f plus g of x is given by, look, radical to x the power of 4 አለ እዚህ ጋር ይሄው radical but negative it is ይሄ radical 3 minus 3x minus x squared plus 2x cubed minus 2 radical to x the power of 4 okay ይሄ ደግሞ radical to x the power of 4 plus 2x cubed minus 5x squared plus x minus radical so አሁን ይሄኛው ከዚህኛው ጋር ከዚህኛው ጋር so እዚህ ጋር 1 radical 2 ነው so 1 radical 2 minus 2 radical 2 is what negative radical 2 x the power of 4 አገኘን okay እዚህ ጋር 1 radical 2 ነው እዚህ ጋር negative 2 radical 2 so ስደምሩት negative radical okay 2x cubed አለ እዚህ ጋር 2x cubed እዚህ ጋር አለ so adding to them together what 4x cubed good negative x squared አለ እዚህ ጋር negative 5x squared አለ እዚህ ጋር negative x squared አለ እዚህ ጋር negative 5x squared እዚህ ጋር negative x squared then what negative 6x squared እዚህ ጋር ምን አለ x አለ እዚህ ጋር negative 3x አለ so negative 3x እና x negative 2x ማለት ነው constant term እዚህ ጋር negative radical 3 አለ እዚህ ጋር positive radical 3 አለ so ምን ይሆናል ይጣፋል ስለዚህ ያገኘን ማለት ነው okay እናንተ በጥንቃቄ ስሩት ኦልራይት በነጭ ወረቀት ላይ አድርጋችሁ በጥንቃቄ so what is the degree of f plus g is what which is 4 the leading coefficient is what negative radical 2 and the constant term is what 0 constant term ምንም ካልተጻፈ ምንም ነገር ከሌለ 0 ነው ማለት ነው ልብ አድርጉ ኦልራይት አሁን 2x no constant term so which is 0 ነው 0 which is plus 0 ተብሎ ስለማይጻፍ good The second operation of polynomial function is subtraction of polynomials, all right? Subtraction. Subtraction of polynomials. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. The sum of two polynomials is a polynomial. That means polynomials are closed under addition. The sum of two polynomials is a polynomial. So subtraction. In the case of subtraction, so similarly, it could be obtained by subtracting the coefficients of like terms, of course. So it can be obtained by subtracting what? Can be obtained by subtracting the coefficients of what? Like terms. Like terms. So it can be obtained by subtracting the coefficients of what? Like terms. So if you have been given this, f minus g of the function f of x is nothing f of x minus what? G of x. So let's do examples, say for examples. So let's do this. አሁን f minus g ነው ፈልጉ. So አሁን ከዚህ ጋር እንጀምራለን ቦታው ስለማይበቃን okay. Now f minus g of this function f of x ማለት so ከf ላይ አሁን ቺ subtraction ልባ so this is f of x minus g of x ይሆናል. So that will be look. አሁን ይሄ ኔጌቲቭ ይሄ f እንዳለ ነው የምንጽፈው no problem. f ላይ ምንም ችግር የለም. ይሄ ኔጌቲቭ g ውስጥ እያንዳንዱን ያባዛል ማለት ነው እያንዳንዱን ኤክስፕሬሽን ውስጥ ያባዛል g ውስጥ ይሄ ኔጌቲቭ ቺኛው እዚህ ጋር ያለችው ማለት ነው ራይት ይሄ ኔጌቲቭ ይሄንንም ሁሉንም እዛ ውስጥ ያሉት በኔጌቲቭ ያባዛል ከዛ ከዚህኛው ጋር ዘን አሁን ከዚህኛው ጋር አይደል ዘን f of x what's f of x is this 3 radical 3 x the power of 4 of course plus 2x the power of 3 of course minus 5x squared plus x minus 5 radical 3 ታረጉና ይሄ f ነው then g ስንጽፍ ግን አሁን ኔጌቲቭ g ስለሆነ ኔጌቲቭን ከሁሉም ጋር እያባዛል እሺ እናባዛ አሁን ይሄ ኔጌቲቭ አይደለ ይሄኛው ማለት ኔጌቲቭ ታይምስ 3 is ኔጌቲቭ radical 3 ይሆናል አሁን ይሄ ኔጌቲቭ ከዚህ ጋር ሲባዛ ሄሪትስ ኔጌቲቭ ታይምስ ኔጌቲቭ ፖዚቲቭ 3x ፖዚቲቭ 3x ይሆናል ኔጌቲቭ ታይምስ ኔጌቲቭ is ፖዚቲቭ x squared ይሆናል positive x squared ይሆናል good negative times positive was negative 2x cubed ይሆናል okay negative times positive negative times negative is what positive 2 radical 3 x the power of 4 ይሆናል ይሄ ነው ማለት Now collecting like terms. How like termoችን እዚህ ጋር እንሰበስባለን። Okay, look. 3 radical x to the power of 4 አለ እዚህ ጋር 2 radical 3 x to the power of 4 አለ ስለዚህ መደመር ነው both are positive 3 radical 3 አለ 2 radical 3 so 3 radical 3 plus 2 radical 3 is what 5 radical 3 ዘጠነኛ ክፍል 3 radical 3 plus 2 radical 3 is what so that will be 5 radical 3 of x to the power of 4 ሆነ ይሄ ማለት ያው 2 radical 3 plus 3 radical 3 ዘጠነኛ ክፍል ነው 2 እና 3 ሲደመር 5 ነው አንደኛው ራዲካል ትወስዳላችሁ now this cube 2x cubed አለ እዚህ ጋር negative 2x cubed አለ so it will be cancelled out ማለት ነው ይሄ positive x cubed በnegative 2x cubed ይጣፋል ማለት ነው okay the next negative 5x square አለ positive x square አለ እዚህ ጋር አላችሁ look here is negative 5x squared negative 5x squared ግን ከማጋ ከx squared ላይ that is አሁን ይሄኛው x squared ማለት 1x squared ማለት so 1x squared minus 5x squared is what ይሄ ማለት x squared minus 5x squared ማለት so 1 minus 5 is negative 4x squared so negative 4x squared ይሆናል ማለት ነው good ይሄን ጨርሰናል the next positive x አለ እዚህ ጋር here it is positive 3x so x plus 3x is what 4x ነው which is plus 4x ይሆናል the next constant term negative 5 radical 3 ባሩ እዚህ ጋር ነው negative 5 radical 3 negative radical 3 አለ ሁለቱን መደመር ነው ኦኬ ይሄ ማለት ነው negative 5 radical 3 minus radical 3 ዋን አለ እዚህ ውስጥ so negative 5 እና negative 1 ስንት ነው negative 6 radical 3 it is grade 9 all right እዚህ ጋር negative 5 radical 3 ይሄ ማለት negative 5x minus ax እንደማለት ነው x ን የራዲካልን ቦታ ብትሰጡት so negative 5x እና x እንደ negative 6x እንደምትሉት so negative 6 radical 3 ትላላችሁ ማለት ነው right so እዚህ ጋር negative 5 radical 3 አለ እዚህ ጋር 1 radical 3 አለ አንድ ላይ negative 6 radical 3 negative 6 radical 3 so this is a polynomial polynomial so what is the degree the degree is what 4 okay the leading coefficient is what 5 radical 3 and the constant term is what negative 6 radical 3 ነው okay so በጥንቃቄ subtraction ሲሆን መጽሐፋችሁ ላይ ኤክሰርሳይሶች አሉ በጥንቃቄ በነጭ ወረቀት ላይ ስሯቸው ልክ እንደዚህ ከጻፋችሁ በኋላ ኔጌቲቭን ይሄ ኔጌቲቭን f of x minus g of x ነው ቺኛዋን ለእያንዳንዱ ዛው ውስጥ ታሰራጩና ከዛ collecting like terms